And if you could change one thing about the city, what would it be? Are you thinking about moving to San Francisco, but you're just not sure if you want to make that move? Maybe you're reading some crazy headlines and you're just not sure if it's the right place for you to go. Well, today I thought we'd do something a little different and talk to some people on the street, or rather at one of my client events, or here at a movie theater. And I've got some clients that have agreed to talk to you about where they came from, what they like about San Francisco, and what they don't. Stay tuned. All right, so what's your name? Who am I here with today?
My name is Kira.
Hi, Kira.
And I'm Cameron Damus, both of us, Dales.
Both Dales. All right, well, what?
Revealing our identity.
What brought you to San Francisco?
We love the energy and the youth. We lived here 30 years ago when we first moved out here for grad school.
Okay, so you moved here when you were younger, and then you moved out.
Peninsula, kept moving south. We probably would have ended up in Tijuana because we went from there to Palo Alto to Saratoga to Los Gatos. And then I was afraid we would end up in San Diego, so we wanted to get a second home in San Francisco for the energy.
So as life changed, you decided to come back to the city to like reinvigorate your youth.
Yeah, relive our youth.
Exactly, yes. Our kids are back at school now, and we're empty nesters, or as we like to say, free birds. So yeah, we're living the life up in the city now.
What do you like best about San Francisco?
For me, I love the vibrancy and the energy, and I also love the architecture.
I love the food, and I love the diversity of people everywhere you go. There's interesting, folks doing their own thing.
Any advice that you have for anybody who's on the fence about moving to San Francisco or buying a second home in San Francisco?
Don't believe everything you see on the news.
Yeah, I think the media has really overhyped how bad it is. I think it's worse than it used to be, but it's not worse than any other large city in the country. So, and like Cameron said, there's a boom and bust. I think in some ways it's like its darkest before dawn. So I think this is going to put a spotlight on it, and hopefully we'll get it fixed.
So last question, what neighborhood are you guys in?
We're in Cow Hollow.
And I didn't even know, really, that Cow Hollow existed. I didn't know it was called Cow Hollow. I always thought it was Pacific Heights Summer Marina, and Cow Hollow is a very special place.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
It's not 20 years.
Thank you. What's your name?
My name is Melissa.
What brought you to San Francisco?
I visited here a really long time ago, and I just thought it was a really beautiful city. And I came from suburbs, and so I always wanted to live in an urban area.
What suburbs?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Amazing. What part of San Francisco do you live in?
Lower Pack Heights currently, but we've lived in multiple neighborhoods.
What do you like best about living in San Francisco?
I like that it's fairly diverse and that really have access to anything here, food, culture, just there's a lot of interesting things going on.
And if you were talking to somebody and trying to get them off the fence about moving to San Francisco, what advice would you give them?
Well, first I would tell them that it's not like what you're hearing and seeing out there in the news.
The second person to say that.
I think that, things get exaggerated a little bit. There certainly are some challenges here, but it's a beautiful city. There's lots of career opportunities here, lots of freedom to be who you are, I think is something I really like about San Francisco. I feel like you can just be yourself and nobody thinks twice.
If you could change one thing, what would it be?
I wish it were just slightly more affordable. If I could change one thing,
I would change that too. I vote for that.
Totally.
Thank you so much for your time, Melissa. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hi. All right. Who do I have here today?
Brian and Michael.
Brian and Michael. Awesome. What neighborhood do you guys live in San Francisco?
Mission Bay, by Potrero Hill.
Actually, the design district. They're all like
Actually, yeah.
It's like on the edge of a lot of neighborhoods.
great.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what brought you to San Francisco?
Well, I got a postdoc at UCSF.
Okay.
So that's why we moved here. Yeah.
And I was lucky to land a job right away as a literacy coach across the bay. So it was fast.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
What do you like best about living in San Francisco?
I think the community, the sense of community, like today, like look at us, like we are having a social activity right now, which we don't get much in LA.
Me, the best diversity. I think the city gets a bad rap and it's all bull. I think it's really fantastic, and it might be even a good time to buy, which I think because people are like running away from the city where they should be coming to the city, and prices are just going to go crazy when the Renaissance happens.
You guys hear that? Yeah. You guys hear that?
And I'm not a realtor. I really feel like this is
You're here.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you could change one thing about San Francisco, what would you change?
Definitely homelessness, the unhoused. But I think it's been a problem for a long time. I'm doing research on this population for sure, and then hopefully it will move the needle and change policy eventually. And
I believe in you. I believe in you. I'm gonna change the world. So if you had to tell somebody who was on the fence, what would you tell them about coming to the city in order to get them off the fence?
Okay, there's incredible food and restaurants. I'm the only person I think in San Francisco that enjoys driving across the bridge, even in traffic, because you're surrounded by water and sun and fog and mountains and nature, and then those kind of like a cool industrial vibe. Since I lived here 30 years ago, now that I'm back, there's like another like 3/4 of the city that's brand new, and there's always something to do. Like,
I think he really wants a job.
there really is always something to do.
Hi, how are you guys today? What is your name?
I'm Sajida.
I'm Krishnan.
Awesome. And where are you guys from?
I'm from all over the place. I moved from India, but lived everywhere in India. Moved to Singapore, New York, and San Francisco is where I've lived the longest. So you could say I'm from here. Where were you?
Ready?
Or San Francisco.
New York City.
Okay, awesome. And what brought you guys to San Francisco?
Well, he changed jobs, and I followed.
Oh, the financial crisis.
Where do you guys live in San Francisco?
So we live in an area called the Golden Gate Heights, which is between the Inner Sunset and Forest Hill. It's a lovely neighborhood. Thanks to you.
What is your favorite thing about living in San Francisco?
After living in New York and moving to San Francisco, I think what I love about the city is even though it's small, super diverse neighborhoods, and there's just so much of outdoor beauty and spaces to explore. So that's one of my favorite things.
If you could change one thing about San Francisco, what would it be?
That's a good question. I think in today's context, I think the city's gone far too left. As many crazies on the right as much as they're on the left. And I think we need some sensible city policies to keep the city intact.
Swing the pendulum a little bit over.
A little more than a little bit, yeah.
Swing the pendulum a lot over.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Hey, Rebecca.
Hi, Rebecca. What brought you to San Francisco?
I actually came here for work after college.
From where?
I went to school in San Luis Obispo at Cal Poly, and I'm from Sacramento originally.
What do you do for work?
I'm a security consultant. I work at an internet company.
And what neighborhood do you live in?
Just moved to Dubose, actually, so really excited.
What do you like best about living in San Francisco?
I think my favorite thing is just being like a few blocks from any park is the best thing, and there's always great weather, so you can always wander to the park. I also love all of the restaurants. I'm a big foodie, so there's endless places to try.
What's your favorite park?
Well, I'm loving Dubose now that we're close to it, and then I also like Lafayette Park.
If you were talking to one of your friends that was kind of on the fence about whether or not they were going to move to San Francisco, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to move here because it's a great community, always great weather. I think it's just like so close to nature. I feel like I'm almost in nature, but also in a city. So I feel like you get the best of both worlds in San Francisco, which is why I love it.
Anything that you would want to bring here or change about San Francisco?
I would love for places to stay open longer and more nightlife.
Do you know, I looked up bars around here so I could have an after party and they all close at 9.
Yeah, I know. So I would love to change that.
I'm with you. Let's party.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So I found this good-looking guy on the street. What's your name?
Praveen, Krishnan.
Well, what brought you to San Francisco?
You. I just love the city. The first time I came in, I was here for an interview, and just literally on my cab ride over from SFO, I just decided this is where I wanted to be.
Where are you from?
From India, originally.
What is your favorite thing about San Francisco?
I think it's the weather. I really like how it is always more or less cold and not too hot and sweaty.
Just like India.
Yeah, I know. I've done 21 years of hot, and so I'm done with that. I like the weather here, which is the best. Plus, it's it's such a fabulous place, right? Been all over the world, and there's no place like it. It's just beautiful scenery. It's great outdoors. Yeah, it's awesome.
If you had a friend that was on the fence about moving to the city, what would you tell them?
Now, I would tell them to come here and stay here for a few weeks and then decide. It's hard to describe a place like this. You have to be here You have to experience what it has to offer.
And if you could change one thing about San Francisco, what would it be?
That's a good question. Let's see. I don't know. San Francisco has a lot of problems. I think a lot of big cities have problems. I think just dealing with crime would be my big thing. You know, I think like a lot of the social issues we could deal with, but just, you know, dealing with some of the car break-ins and things like that, I think gone up in a while. So that's what I would change.
Amazing. Hello, how are you?
Doing well. How are you, Ruth?
Awesome. What's your name?
My name is Sam.
Hi, Sam. What brought you to the Bay Area?
Actually born and raised. East Bay boy. Came over here with my mom all the time when I was a kid. Hit up the cable cars. Did Fisherman's Wharf, ferry building, all that good stuff.
You know, I was just asking my kids the other day if they were ever on the cable car, and they said no.
That's just a shame.
I know. I'm working on this. I'm like, okay, we're going to be tourists in our own town.
There you go.
What do you do for work?
I'm a public works contractor.
What's your favorite thing about San Francisco?
I love Crissy Field. That's a great area to be and hang around and enjoy the day, especially on a bright, sunny day. You just could see across the water, see into Alcatraz, Treasure Island.
Kite surfers. I love the kite surfers.
Yeah, they look amazing.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, looks hard, but cool. So if you had a friend that was thinking about moving to the city and you needed to get them off the fence, what would you tell them?
To go out and enjoy it and experience it. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience to really get and enjoy a metropolitan big area like San Francisco is, getting all the diversity it has to offer and just really enjoy it.
Thank you so much for your time, Sam.
Thank you.
Bye. Hi, what's your name?
I'm Jessica.
Hi, Jessica. Thanks for being in the video. What brought you to San Francisco?
Work, I guess. I've been in the San Francisco Bay Area for about 10 years now and have mostly worked in tech, so here I am.
Lots of tech workers around here. All right, so what is your favorite thing about San Francisco?
I think my favorite thing about San Francisco is that all the neighborhoods are so different. It sort of has its own city culture to it, and I think that's true for a lot of cities, but I think in San Francisco, each area is so different that when you describe an area that you live, people can feel exactly what you're talking about. And I've lived in different parts of the city. I've lived in Inner Richmond, which is very different from Deep Mission. So those are the two areas I've lived in, but it's very different from Nob Hill Marina. So depending on what you're looking for in your vibe, you can find something you love in San Francisco.
And if you could change one thing or bring one thing into San Francisco, what would it be?
I would say affordability. I think there's a lot of people who would love to live in San Francisco or even close to San Francisco, and they just can't afford it, unfortunately. So I feel like if it was more affordable, I think there would be more people living inside of San Francisco instead of moving outside of San Francisco.
I would love that too. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today.
Of course.
I'm going to head back into my client appreciation event, but I hope that you found that helpful. We help clients every day, just like you, who are contemplating these questions, and we'd love to help you make that smooth move to San Francisco. If there are any questions that you have that were not answered here, or any concerns that you have, feel free to drop them in the comments below or reach out in the comments. We'd be happy to chat with you and help you make that smooth move to San Francisco. I'm Ruth Krishnan with the Krishnan team, and thanks for watching our video.